Hey guys, Roxabox90 here with the next part of my M14 full set review, and we're going to do enchantments today. Enchantments involving auras and world or global or just enchantments that remain in play on their own. So you have to pardon me because this video is going to be a little longer and I've had a little cough, so if I cough, pardon me. So we're going to go through this and not try to be vindictive of auras. I tend to be because I regularly deal with the fact that when you play an aura on a creature, then the person removes the creature, you lose the aura, and you lose a 2-for-1. So I'm generally biased against auras, and I'm usually not a huge fan of them, unless they protect themselves or something like that. But we're going to pretend that in some ways, casual players exist, and so they like putting armor auras on creatures or lands or whatever. So we're going to go like that. Trollhide is first, and it's not, of course, it's not going to be, I think, very constructed viable, but in limited, being able to regenerate is a big deal, and it's definitely worth the cost. In Verdant Haven, we have a worse abundant growth, whatever it's called. It's trying to be one of these mana manipulators. I think it's a bit too costly for 3 mana. It's not going to see constructed play. I don't think we need it in our current format, and the life gain I don't think it's worth 3 mana. Lightning Talons is going to be a very nice limited card. Giving 3/0 on first strike, quote unquote, permanently is fantastic. It's definitely going to be a solid pick in limited. Don't think it's constructed viable though, because it doesn't quite fit into Bant Hexproof, which right now is huge. Shiv's Embrace is going to be ridiculous in limited because you can make the creature stronger and stronger, and it gives 2/2 in flying. So putting evasion flying makes it nearly unblockable in this set, or unblockable for not blockable for long, and it can constantly get stronger. It can potentially win the game for you in and of itself. I think it's a great limited card. It's constructed viable. Again, it's a bit heavy on the red, so I don't know how viable, but there we go. Quag Sickness, form of removal. You realize you can do it on your opponents. A lot of casual players don't realize you can put auras on your opponent's creatures. You can. So you put on your opponent's creatures that can kill it. It's obviously good for black control. Not good enough in limited. It's too expensive. Sorry, not limited. Constructed, but it could be good in limited as removal. Mark of the Vampire is more costly than Lightning Talons and not as good, so it's not that good. Dark Favor is just a generic core set card. It's fine. The 3+ power is nice, especially if you have a flyer to hook it to. But other than that, it's just fine. Claustrophobia is, of course, it's phenomenal in limited and maybe constructed viable. I'm trying to remember if it ever saw constructed play before. I know it's an Innistrad reprint, so maybe, I don't remember. It's a bit far back for me, but it's definitely going to be a limited bomb. It's huge. Awesome. Sensory Deprivation is just it's not that good. Zephyr Charge is too expensive, I think, for the flying effect. Passivism is a better Sensory Deprivation. Just run Passivism. Divine Favor is probably the best. It's probably better than Dark Favor, I think, just by giving you the 3 life. But it's they're both not fantastic. Barrage Expendables, in limited, it's but it could be a constructed combo card, potentially even in modern. So that's viable, definitely viable. Artificer's Hex, which looks really cool. It's another lightsaber. Enchants equipment, and if it's attached to a creature, destroy that creature. So it's very, very specific, and I don't think that good. It might actually see some play in EDH because, at least as a sideboard option, because many decks run equipment, especially if you're running against Voltron. So maybe, but even so, it's such an awkward card. I don't think it's going to see much play anywhere. Illusionary Armor is pretty much turns one of your creatures into a huge illusion, and of course it's a problem because then if it's targeted, you lose the armor. So it requires a creature. If you lose the creature, you lose basically 2 creatures. Cost not that great, maybe in limited, but even there I don't think that great. Blessing is very heavy on the white cost. That in and of itself makes it almost unplayable. Even in limited, I think it's a bit rough. Angelic Accord is it's pretty good for life gain. Life gain EDH is going to love this card. I don't think it's quite strong enough for constructed. It might end up being, because you play turn 5, you play that Angel of Thune, and in a deck that has solid life gain with Scavenging Ooze and that card and etc., it could potentially work, but it's a bit costly. It's going to be a constructed viable call for me. In limited, I just don't think unless you have that Thune, Angel of Thune, it's not going to be good enough. Oath of the Ancient Wood, we're hitting some rares now. It's solid if you have enchantments, but the problem is that it's too weak for constructed. So not going to see constructed play. Into the Wilds, if it's a land card you put in the battlefield, it's supposed to help you with lands. And the fact you don't have to reveal it is nice. That's in itself, but I just don't think the ramp is good enough unless you're running a mono green EDH that runs 40 something lands like Azusa. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be viable. Awaken the Ancient, we've talked about a while. It's a bit heavy on the red, but a very nice red drop. I think it could potentially see constructed play for red decks. Burning Earth, Taz for non-basic. It's going to be very, very fun for EDH players who are running mono colored against, especially I guess mono red, against decks that run a lot of non-basic. I don't think it's quite strong enough to lock down. I mean, it could, in theory, if it wasn't so expensive, if it was maybe 2 or 3, it could see play in Legacy, but I don't even think it's going to see play there. Maybe in some tribal decks like Goblins, maybe, but I think it's a bit expensive. And of course, in limited, it's just basically useless. Sanguine Bond is good for life gain, and it might turn out to be some sort of combo piece in standard with, Scavenging Ooze and Thune. It could definitely see a huge amount of play in this set. I think it probably is constructed viable. It's not going to be that hard to build a deck that uses it to effect. Dark Prophecy is a weird card draw. I just don't think it's good enough because it makes you need to lose something to draw a card. It's just not for 3 mana. It's not Necropotence. It's not Phyrexian Arena. It's not that great. Dismiss into Dream is one of those weird cards that casual players will love, and everyone else will be like, this is not that good. Domestication is pretty good, I think, in limited, and it's not in standard. It could see play now that we're going to get to the creature section. You get a bunch of good 3-drops that are very powerful 3-drops, but I still don't think it's going to be constructive viable. Limited, it could very well be constructive viable. Sorry, limited viable. Path of Bravery, excuse me, is going to be a card to look out for. There's about 1 billion cards in standard at this point that have life gain effects, and the fact that it gives you 1+1 for 3 is a classic anthem. That's not even that. It's like Glorious Anthem would be 2 white and 1. It's not even color restrictive, and the fact that no card gains you life. I mean, you're going to have Scavenging Ooze, Angel of Thune, you're going to have Thrag Tusk, you're going to have so many options, and this card not only is, I think, constructive viable, it's almost guaranteed to see some constructive play somewhere, and in limited, it's going to be ridiculous. Indestructibility is fine, it just makes things indestructible, and it's, use it in EDH, Voltron, and I don't know where else. Primeval Bounty, people have said, oh, look, it's a fun card. It's really here just to be a funky mythic for casual and fun players to play around with. I don't think it's all that good. It's way too expensive for what it does, and it's going to be fun for maybe some EDH players, probably on the more casual side, to play with, and that's pretty much it. So those are the enchantments and my general thoughts about them. Let me know your thoughts about it below in the comment section of the video. Stay tuned for more spoiler videos. In the meantime, check out my channel sponsors in the description, and as always, Roxbox90 signing out. I'll see you guys next time.